Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here. And Charlie Kirk, since his assassination, a lot of strange things have come out. Charlie Kirk is someone that I knew personally. I've known him going back about 8 years. It was an emotional thing for me to see what has happened despite our disagreements. That should not matter. We're talking about someone with a 1.5-year-old and a 3-year-old. It's absolutely tragic. Both of whom apparently witnessed the murder. So, of course, that just adds to the tragedy here. But there's a lot that doesn't add up, and there's a lot being claimed that is, I believe, planted in order to discredit a lot of people as well. And I want to go into some of that with you guys today. I mean, the amount of information that's coming out and how it doesn't quite add up with what the FBI is saying is incredible. And I've said before, name one major political assassination in the United States, Canada, or the UK in the last 85 years that wasn't done by the CIA, Mossad, or MI6. I mean, I'll wait. I can't think of any. And of course, there are a lot of strange things coming from this one, as one would expect to see. And I mean, just starting off with, the investigation took 33 hours. Amazing that that number happens to be there every single time. Multiple wrong people arrested, which I want to mention later on in the video. Multiple narratives about groypers, left wingers, whatever it might be. They are bouncing back and forth on who to blame, which is a hallmark of a false flag. They are calling for a database on anyone who celebrated his death, which, okay, again, it's horrible to celebrate the guy's death. But at the same time, this is another lead in that the mainstream alternative media will cheer on, as Palantir actually does create a massive database. The weird baseball signals we saw leading up to the assassination of Charlie Kirk, the FBI claiming the alleged shooter, Tyler Robinson, used Discord. Discord claims he didn't. No rounds were recovered. They've seen casings, but they haven't seen any actual evidence from where these shots rang out. The gun that was allegedly somehow taken apart, which it's a gun that's difficult to take apart fast, reassembled and left in the woods with messages to the police. Why did he reassemble it? It just doesn't make any sense. And then Netanyahu and Trump releasing the death announcement in the same moment. A hoax also came out surrounding Charlie Kirk's ring. There is a lot that I want to break down in this video today, and I'm going to do my best as I'm on the road here, and it's been difficult to keep up with. But of course, I've been watching every second of what has been coming out about the tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk, and we're going to dig into this today and what all of this means. But before we do, I urge people to check those links below and help support us if you can. We in independent media need help more than ever, us who have fought against the mainstream alternative media for such a long time, as well as the mainstream media. And of course, they bankrupted us. I'm in Canada right now because they keep shutting down my bank and making it almost impossible for me to financially stabilize. And I thank all of those who've helped us on gogetfunding.com, Patreon, and Subscribestar. You guys are absolutely amazing. We could not survive without you. And I thank you to those who continue to help. Again, Patreon, Subscribestar, if you pledge $4.99 a month or more, you will get exclusive content. So again, that includes early access. That also includes our ability to send you personalized video messages for those that have any questions. And of course, we have our Bitcoin address here, which you could scan on the screen or check out in the description of the video. Now, we have many ways that you can help support us, including subscribing on Rumble and BitChute at World Alternative Media. Let's get into this. We have the image of the guy who they claim committed this act, and they claimed his father was with a veteran of the sheriff's department. That turned out not to be true. They claimed that he was leftist. They claimed that he was a groyper. They claimed on all angles, they are creating all these different narratives. And this is exactly what happens when a major event happens, where you should be raising your eyebrows as to what this means. And they're trying to confuse us. And I truly, truly believe that they're trying to drive us against each other. I mean, I think that clearly, yes, Charlie Kirk was indeed killed. I'm going to go into that later. There's a lot of people claiming that he wasn't. I think that's absurd. And the evidence points clearly to him being killed. I don't know why. Of course, we've been lied to so much that people always jump to these conclusions. But with that said, there's a reason why he was. And two things can be true at the same time. You can be killed in order to create a narrative, and you actually do end up dead, but then the narrative is still pushed forward. Of course, they are creating an environment to create and manipulate the public into hating each other, and they're pointing fingers on both sides right now in order to keep people within the paradigm. And that is so incredibly dangerous. And he was the perfect person for them to take out in that situation because he was more of a moderate and he wasn't that, it wasn't like he was actually far right. This is going to open the door to extremism on both sides of the collectivist paradigm. And I want to be very clear where the danger lies in this. And it is not, oh, well, crazed leftist shooters, crazed right wing shooters, these ideologies. It's all part of the same complex of statism and collectivism that we are witnessing here, push forward, utilizing this horrible, horrible situation. And again, someone that I argued with a lot over the years. I've known Charlie Kirk since 2017. We're the same age. We're coming up at the same time. And I, of course, have had many arguments with him over the years. And, as of recently, he started coming around to the Israel thing a lot after months and months of me pummeling him with, posts and comments. And, of course, he was always so respectful, though, of the pushback, which I always really respected. He was someone that would actually have a conversation. And that is something that I will always remember and respect about him. Someone that from day one when I met him wanted to talk, asked me who I was, where I was going with my career. I asked him where he was going with his. Always a nice guy. Now, I want to start with this. Charlie Kirk's bodyguards definitely made hand signals before UVU shooting. Here's what they meant. Now, this veteran law enforcement officer has confirmed that the curious hand gestures seen in the videos of Charlie Kirk's bodyguards moments before his assassination at Utah Valley University were indeed deliberate security signals. Now, there were interesting images right before he was killed, of his security guards, his security detail, doing baseball hand signals with their ball cap and their ear and then rolling up their sleeves. These things that anyone who has ever witnessed, these signals in the military would know. Of course, yeah, there are signals that are being made, and the ball hat in the ear is a major move for snipers. It's something that has been used for the last 60, 70 years for the go ahead for a sniper. So that was very strange indeed. Now, I don't know what to do with that right now. Of course, we know where the agenda is going. I'm just going to mention some of these strange things that have been happening. Like this gun. First of all, there's so much wrong with this. The scope, the pin, it's just, so this was a rifle used to assassinate Charlie Kirk. They say they found it in the wilderness, that it was ditched there. And there's messages to police saying, catch this fascist, or fascist catch this, which is something that is said in video games a lot. People online, gamers, say this kind of stuff. And of course, at the same time, there's trans messages and all that kind of stuff. But this doesn't make any sense considering the video footage that we have of the alleged shooter running away from the rooftop. Now, first of all, I'm surprised he didn't break his legs jumping down here, but we see him coming across and you see him coming down, and people say, oh, well, maybe he had the gun on him. Well, he would have had to, unassemble, like disassemble the entire gun, take it apart and put it in a bag. That's a rough jump. That had to have hurt. He runs off here. There's no evidence here that he is carrying the gun in its full form, totally assembled. But this gun specifically is very difficult to break down. You can't do that in seconds. And this is supposed to be seconds after the shooting, after the shot rang out. It makes no sense at all. Yet here we have this guy moments later in the woods reassembling the whole gun and putting it in this box. And again, if you want to have a black eye, that's exactly how you would assemble a scope. And he doesn't have a black eye in the photos. So that says what you need to know. But again, it's absolutely nonsensical And of course, he left a palm print and DNA evidence at the building. Okay, great. And we're supposed to believe this. Like, they just are going to jump on to the next thing. They're lying. They're lying. This doesn't add up. It just doesn't make any sense. It's not possible. And no one's gonna, like, we're just gonna move on. Oh well, Kash Patel, who totally isn't compromised at all by Epstein, and claimed that he was killed before, and now says he didn't kill himself, and that there's tape, and that he was not an agent, and all that kind of stuff, and has gone back on all that because of all the blackmail. We're gonna believe him when he says that this is exactly how it happened, and don't ask any more questions. You know, Charlie Kirk, shortly before he died, called out Kash Patel quite a bit over the Epstein thing. I just want to throw that out there. Also was questioning Israel's involvement and, of course, genocide and all that kind of stuff in the final weeks of his life. People call him out for being pro-Israel, and so did I, but he really did make quite a bit of a U-turn in the final month. That doesn't, justify how he felt for all the time before. Doesn't justify being murdered either. Now, they initially found this guy, George Zinn, who this Jewish guy who, like, the odds are 1 in 2 billion, as this one person points out, that all this stuff is true. Now I'm going to pause this for you here if I can, if it lets me. Come on, pause. It's not letting me pause for some reason. I don't know what's going on here. I'm clicking and nothing's happening. That's always nice. Okay, well, whatever. I'm just going to rewind this so we could see it on the screen. Anyway, so this George Zinn guy, he witnessed 9/11, saw the planes hit, he claims, was also arrested for sending a joke bomb threat into Salt Lake City, the Salt Lake City Marathon after the Boston bombing, and was never charged. And well, he pleaded guilty to a terrorism charge, but he received probation. And then he was detained for questioning as a person of interest after Charlie Kirk's assassination and released without charges relating to the shooting. What are the chances of this? What are the actual chances of any of this stuff happening? I mean, honestly. And we're like, it's a 1 in 2 billion chance, as Ryan Matta wrote on X. It's not possible. It's absurd. And why was he yelling, shoot me, while getting arrested? He seemed to pretty much admit to doing it. And then suddenly they say, oh, he wasn't actually the guy. It does not add up. And then they say this guy is the one who did it. And by the way, alternative media and mainstream are both totally messing with this. SHTF plan, which has been pissing me off a bit lately, which they're, fear mongering around bird flu and stuff. It says wholesome Mormon kid kills Kirk because he's not right wing enough. That is the claim. And that he's a groiper and he wasn't right wing enough. Then why would he call him a fascist then? And why, did he have transgender messages on the ammo? Ammo found with Charlie Kirk murder weapon bears transgender anti-fascist messages, according to the media. ABC has cited unnamed law enforcement officials as making the claim after the FBI announced that agents recovered a bolt-action rifle. Meanwhile, this is Lance Twiggs, the transgender roommate of Charlie Kirk's assassin, Tyler Robinson. Back in 2022, he uploaded a bizarre video about Christmas. Okay. It says Shadow of Ezra on X. Again, we have all these stories coming out today. Charlie Kirk killer identifies as Tyler Robinson after assassination in Utah, and that all these people claimed he isn't radical left trans Democrat. He's a wealthy, straight, white, registered Republican man, which is being claimed. Again, MAGA repeatedly blamed immigrants, trans people, and Democrats for Charlie Kirk's murder. Crickets when they found out the 22-year-old Tyler Robinson is a white Mormon from Utah from a gun-loving family. Meanwhile, we found out that his assassin, Tyler Robinson, lived with transgender partner and espoused some very leftist views while registered previously as a Republican. Okay. See, this is how they confuse people. This is a PSYOP in a nutshell. People are going to play both sides. Now, they're confusing people just enough so that half of the people will say, oh, he's a mega maniac. And the other half of people will say, oh, he's a far left maniac. This is exactly what they do. They confuse. And if you fall for this back and forth confusion, well, they got you, didn't they? They definitely got you. I mean, this is textbook PSYOP. These whataboutisms are driving me crazy. I saw this meme today, so I shared it on X, and out of disagreement, it says, Charlie Kirk's assassination is a threat to free speech. And then it shows all these press below. Meanwhile, Israel has killed over 260 Palestinian journalists in the last 2 years. Yeah, that's awful. But as I wrote on X, can't stand the whataboutisms I see floating around. Both are true. Both are allowed to be true. Were people in kindergarten when we learned two wrongs don't make a right, or did they stay home that day? It's very frustrating. I wrote this on X, I guess, it was on the 11th of September. Do people realize an event can be scripted as part of a conspiracy and still people can actually die? Like, both things can be true at the same time. People claiming Charlie Kirk didn't die. I mean, what the fuck? That was obviously a real gunshot. The establishment doesn't mind killing both enemies and friends if it furthers their narrative grip on society. I mean, meanwhile, we have these guys, a searchable database of over 20,000 individuals celebrating Charlie Kirk's murder will soon be available on our website. And I'm seeing it shows it'll be a searchable by general location, employer, and industry type. Political violence can never be the answer. Well, this is doxing. As I wrote on X, mainstream alternative media cheering on a database for thought crimes. As someone who was traumatized by what happened to Charlie Kirk, be very suspicious of those who think this is a good idea. Yeah, I'm seeing everyone, almost everyone in mainstream alternative media cheering this on. I mean, this is why we can't have nice things. No one's consistent in this world anymore. And again, obviously, those people cheering on Charlie Kirk's death are sick. And I know a lot of them. It's amazing how many people that I've been friends with and close to for years are cheering this on. And it makes me sick because, again, that's exactly what the government wants. You're falling for the PSYOP. You're falling for the agenda that they have put forward. They want us non-empathetic. They want us angry at each other. They want us violent, and they want us hateful, all under the guise of fighting hate. You know, a lot of people are mentioning the ring thing. I know there's a lot of videos going around and photos going around of when he got assassinated, a horrific video, which, by the way, was the blood is real. Yes, it looks like he had a bulletproof vest on. Yes, it looks like something ricocheted off of him. But the ring that they say changed from his wedding ring finger down to his pinky finger, and that it shows that something was fake. Like, how do they fake that in front of 3,000 people? But that's a fidget ring. You could see it in many of his videos, and he can switch it around finger to finger, and you could see images of it flying off his hand. In fact, I totally forgot to set this up, so I'm just going to throw these images in if I can, because they're on my phone. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to show you on the screen here, but I don't think that will be an issue at all. There's so much happening, so I'm trying to keep up with all of it. And there's a lot of other stories around the world that we're being distracted from, by the way, right now, which is unfortunate. But I've been seeing a lot of imagery of the ring, which is somewhere out here. I can't find anything today. And despite this, yeah, that's right. I got it off of Facebook, I believe. So let's see. Here we go. You could see it right here. I'll bring it up to the screen, to the camera here. You could see it right here. Sorry about the line that's up my screen. My phone screen is broken, but you could see it flying off his finger in the video. It's a fidget ring. A lot of people have them. You could see it previously in another video at another time on his finger right here. You can move it around. So that is something that I'm seeing a lot of people talking about online, which, again, makes it look bad for everyone else, because that is, again, we should overanalyze, but we shouldn't I don't know. How would I put this? We shouldn't create our own narratives for the sake of being first, and we shouldn't be creating a narrative that is counterproductive to actually finding the truth here by, obviously flooding the internet with every theory possible. I like the idea of all that information coming out, but at the same time, I see a lot that is just nonsensical. And then when we have real questions like, how did this shooter, what's going on? Who's running this operation? Was it Mossad? Was it CIA? Was it some lone shooter? I doubt it. I've never seen any example in modern US or UK history of the shooting of a political activist being by some lone individual, it always turns out to be the government. MLK, Malcolm X, RFK Senior, JFK. We could go on and on and on. There's even evidence that people like Mark David Chapman, who shot John Lennon, was involved in intelligence agencies through MK Ultra, as well as, of course, we can look at Hinckley's shooting of Reagan, another MK Ultra example. We could also talk about the father of James Holmes, the mass shooter, or the recent trans shooter that we were talking about. All their parents seem to be CIA or DOJ or DOD officials. I mean, it's pretty obvious what's going on here. We are seeing a narrative be created, a violent narrative, which again is used against us later on. So people, when they are saying, "Oh, well, I must be some NPC for thinking that Charlie Kirk actually died." I mean, yeah, we've gotten to the point where we've been lied to so much that we are now saying every single thing is fake ever. And that's not helpful to us actually finding the truth and being the change, which is our motto here. And, someone today went, "Oh, you just you can't see through it. You're an NPC. You can't, you don't have the capability of seeing through psyops." Like, my channel is literally based on exposing psyops. Like, that's one of the number one things I do. It's what I do, and I have done for 19 years now. I know what I'm doing when it comes to this kind of stuff, and I see exactly how the psyop works. And sometimes the psyop is literally, quite literally, getting people to believe a one theory to distract you from the other. That is what they call a limited hangout operation at the CIA. It's about telling part of the truth, but not the entirety of the truth, in order to distract people from the entirety of the truth. But then they also create alternate truths, quote unquote, among the independent community, which will also continue to distract people. So no one ever finds a right route to where the reality actually is. The reality is they want to create a civil war. I believe that there will be more assassinations of conservative and liberal, activists. I think we should be very concerned on both sides of that paradigm. I believe that they will stage this to create a culture war, a race war, a civil war. Not that that is a real, like, the civil war will actually be a real thing. I think it is a manufactured crisis to bring in emergency orders, technocracy, all that kind of stuff. I think people, and again, I don't want people to think I take this as a threat. I'm not. I think this violence is absolutely despicable and disgusting. I think it's very possible that we'll see people like Candace Owens or Greta Thunberg or AOC, or, name the person in conservative or liberal media, at risk here in the future. And I'm very concerned about the martyrdom that they're creating right now, and especially the narrative around it, where it'll be, oh, crazy left winger, crazy right winger. That's how they do it. That's how they maintain their control complex over us and continue the psyops to force us into this realm of technocratic enslavement. I believe this very much to be true, and I really want people to stop falling for the psychological operations here, where they fall for, "Oh, well, this was fake. He faked his death. Why would he was at the top of his fame? He was blowing up. He could have been, president one day. He has a 1.5-year-old and a 3-year-old and a wife, and is more famous than ever, and is being parodied on South Park and all that kind of stuff, which he loved. And we're moving into that, and then he just fakes his own death. I mean, it makes no sense. It makes sense for Epstein, and yeah, the shooting of Trump looked very suspicious and pretty much fake, from what I've seen and from the footage I've seen. But this is different. And if you've ever seen a jugular blow, that was it. People say, "Oh, that's too much blood," or "It's not enough blood. Give me a break." That was a textbook hit on a jugular, and it's absolutely horrifying. And this is right after Zarina, the Ukrainian girl, was stabbed on the bus, and they are purposely trying to create a race and culture war. And they killed 2 Democratic assemblymen or something a couple months ago. Those were murdered. I mean, we are seeing this all propped up in order to bring about that reset, and that comes from us all being demoralized and hating each other. And again, even those among the truthers fighting each other over what truth is more truthish. It's like, the reality is, what is the overall agenda here? Even if it was faked, which I don't think it was, what would the overall agenda be? It would still remain the same, right? And this overall agenda being that we end up in a situation where Everyone hates each other. They're demoralized. And with that, civilization falls just in time for the dollar, just in time for the housing market and all these things. So you will own nothing and you will be happy. And they will bring in their CBDC and they'll bring in their digital ID and they will bring in their food rations on social credit and all these different things that I've been warning about for a long time. And the weather and the farms and everything, the food shortages, all that kind of stuff, war, World War III, all that kind of stuff, pandemics, whatever it might be. This is all part of the same puzzle, the same agenda. And for the love of God, my friends, please do not fall for the noise that's being perpetuated. Most people are just being used in this sense and don't realize they're pushing this stuff out, but by the mainstream and mainstream alternative media, pushing us into the system one step at a time to bring in a surveillance state, a security state, utilizing these things, biometrics, all these things. How do you think you get there? You get there with this. We just saw our MLK of our generation. It's traumatizing to see. No one is supposed to see people getting shot in the jugular on video played 1,000 times in a day. Our brains aren't meant to see those things. And, as someone that knew him, it really, really messed with me, I'll admit, for the 2 days of following the assassination. I'm doing better today, and not because, again, it's not because of we lost a political figure. It's not even him, even though he was a really nice guy, in my opinion. He pushed mainstream alternative media narratives, but that doesn't, at the end of the day, he's a human being who was always very nice. It's what it means going forward. It's what it means for everyone watching. It's what it means for the basis of humanity itself, which is freedom and individualism, and then us falling into collectivist mantras and fighting each other, which is exactly what they want. And with that, I'm going to end the video today. I am in Canada on the road. I am having a hard time getting things done, my friends. And it's been a very difficult week or so. Banks keep shutting me down and all that, and I'm almost unable to make videos. So it's been, I bear with me. I've done everything I can to get the content I've had put up so far to you guys. It's torture. I'm stranded. I can't even leave because of some bank issue. So, anyway, for those that want to help support us, I truly appreciate any help we can get. We have gogetfunding.com, Patreon, and Subscribestar. And pledging helps enormously. We have a PayPal address, ancientwonderstelevision@gmail.com. We have a Bitcoin address that you can scan on the screen here or check out in the description of the video. And of course, we have a Cointree link with a bunch of different cryptocurrencies that you could donate in if you please, including privacy coins. We appreciate that. We have a Teespring store with merchandise as well that helps support us. And we have ways that you can help also support us by supporting yourself. We have heavensharvest.com for long-term storable foods that are non-GMO. There are organic kits, heirloom seeds, water filtration and storage, and books on how to get started. Use code WAM, WAM, and you'll get 5% off as well as free shipping on these items. So highly recommend people stock up today. In the face of what is to come, they are using this as warfare against us. We need to get prepared for what comes next. We also have Wave Watch 2.0, where you could use code WAM, WAM, and save $100 on this. It's like having a Rife machine on your wrist. Again, that link is in the description. It helps you improve sleep, reduce stress, fight pain, boost energy. It's great for immune function. 1,100 plus frequencies. Go and check this out in the description. That's Wave Watch, code WAM. Of course, we also have this amazing stuff over at vni.life/WAM. Super supplements, including Protovite, which has 100 plus vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients. If you use code WAM15, WAM15, you'll save money on your order, 15% off. And look at the before and after on this. It's absolutely incredible. It usually takes a month to do this. This is 5 minutes. This is before and this is after taking it. Restored negative charge, red blood cells freely flowing, 4 times the size of white blood cells after taking this. I mean, just absolutely amazing stuff. The before and after says it all. That's 5 minutes. So again, vni.life/WAM. And WAM15 is the code. Highly recommend people go there and also subscribe to save another 20% going forward. So all those links are in the description. I appreciate everyone watching us today. Keep coming back, checking to see what we post. It's been a hell of a time trying to get videos up to you, but I'll continue to do my best as I bounce around and basically go bankrupt paying for hotels because I literally have no choice. I'm stuck right now in Winnipeg, Canada, and I have no other choice but to do this. So if you want to help support us, again, that link is in the description. And again, hit that like button, share on social media, hit the notification bell, hit subscribe. We are, of course, on Telegram, Band.video, BitChute, Odyssey, Rumble, and Brighteon at World Alternative Media. We're on Hive, Steemit, and Vigilante.tv at Josh Sigurdson. We're on the Bad Guys, TikTok, and Instagram, World Alternative Media. We're on Twitter and Getter at World Alt Media and all the major podcast platforms except for Spotify, where, of course, we're banned. As always, live freely, live by example, don't fall for the tricks. This is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.